Good morning and welcome to Writing Wednesday. As per usual, we are going to do a writing tutorial. We are working our way through characteristics of opinion essays and looking at a specific characteristic, finding some examples of that, and then giving you an opportunity to write your own essay and submit it for review. So without further ado, we are going to jump in. Again, my name is Marina Gabor. I'm with Write Simply, which is the writing app created by Summit Writing Academy. So I'm going to share my screen so that we can get going here. All right. So on your screen, you should see, oh no, it's giving me multiple. Let's not do it like that. Well, let me just share the appropriate tab and then it won't give us craziness. All right. So characteristics of an opinion essay. An opinion essay, one of the things that we'll do is provide all the major reasons, and those reasons need to be understandable to the reader. We want to read the opinion essay, we want to connect with the reader, and one way to do that is to get in the reader's head and think, what are the major reasons that people would agree or disagree with this topic? And we want to address those in our essay. Here we go. Our first example, so I am going to the New York Times to their opinion pieces. Now, these are not 250-word opinion essays, which you might be doing for an IELTS test or another sort of English language test. Totally fine. If we're doing a 250-word essay, we're going to have less reasons, but they still need to be understandable to the reader. I'd like to use these examples so that you can see how we can expand or contract our essays based on the number of reasons that we give, and also see how people are presenting their reasons. What language are they using? How are they making it understandable to the reader? What are they doing? So this first essay is, I am not proof of the American dream. Now, whether you agree or disagree with our examples is not really the point. The point is that somebody is expressing an opinion. So we still have freedom of speech. We're able to express an opinion, and we want to express it well, which is why we want to provide all of the major reasons so that our reader understands and connects. So let's have a look at this. And I'm going to share that so that you can have a look at the essay as well. All right. So here's this, I am not proof of the American dream. All we're looking for are examples of where the author, and in this case, the author is Tara Westover, where the author is using opinions that are connecting with the reader. They're major opinions that the reader would connect with. All right, so let's have a look here. Major reasons. So we're going to skim through, and I invite you to do this. Look through the New York Times, look at the opinion pieces and see, how do they come up with the major reasons? And do I connect with those major reasons? Have they nailed it? So Tara Westover, in this opinion essay, she's talking about her first semester at college, how she's tired, she's getting up early, and she's talking about the fact that she doesn't have a lot of money and what her life is like. So she's trying to set the scene for her opinion. And then she tells us she wrote a memoir in 2018 called Educated. The story was one of extremes. So she was born in the mountains of Idaho, yada, yada, yada. We can skim. So this is also a good exercise. You can skim through. Here we go. A curious thing happens when you offer your life for public consumption. People start to interpret your biography to explain to you what they think it means. So some people are saying that it's an inspiration. So this is a major opinion about what people think about her life. They think, oh, wow, this is inspiring. And then it comes to the main point. They say, you are living proof of the American dream, that absolutely anything is possible for anybody. Now let's see how she explores that. But is that what this story means? So now she's going to unpack that a little bit. After being tired, here we go. Here's what I remember most about being poor. A persuasive sense of costly trade-offs. Does that connect with the reader? I think most people have been in a situation where they have been short on cash. Finances are tight. And they'll be able to relate to perhaps this costly trade-off of what happens when you don't have enough money. And so she goes on to explain what those are. Maximum number of credits because things were expensive. You had to pick up a second job. All of the things that are now supporting one of her reasons. Now, here's something happens. My college ambitions nearly came to an abrupt end in my sophomore year. Turns out she had a really expensive dental bill. She needed a root canal and she couldn't pay for it. Something else is going to happen. So now we're going to see the other side. What happens? She gets this check for $4,000. How does that change her life? Okay, so we're looking for the major reasons for her opinion. So she's saying her opinion, I'm not the proof of the American dream. She is saying where she came from, poverty. Now she's going to flip it and say, here's what happened when I had money. So she's giving us the major reasons that are helping us as the reader understand what is going on. The day I cashed that check is the day I became a student. So now she's going to expand on this opinion that she has. Every decision I made from that moment on was a function of that check. Here's a little trick. Look at the first sentence of each paragraph to get an idea of where the essay is going if you're going to be skimming it. It's tempting to tell my story in a way that people want me to. I would love to be the hero and say that it's all about hard work, determination, and the white-knuckled triumph of the human will. But if I put my ego aside, I know that's not the case. So here again, her opinion, reasons for her opinion. And she keeps talking about why the American dream is not what it is. When she was going to school, she could afford stuff. Things were cheaper. Now, so here she said, I could make enough to cover tuition by bagging groceries for $5.35 an hour during the summers. For kids from poorer backgrounds, the path through education no longer exists. So here she again is giving some reasons, strengthening her argument. A Pell Grant was my first taste of financial security. Now, even a full grant would be wholly inadequate due to the rising costs of tuition and housing. So again, she's piling on the reasons, and they are reasons that, as the reader, will be able to understand. And she goes on. For my part, I will begin by telling my own story differently, by discarding that fashionable old fable that reduces any tale of success to one of diligence, grit and diligence. I will admit that, to be frank, it was an easier time and things were better. Again, everything ties into this. I am not the proof of the American dream. So her main idea, and she used major reasons that the reader could understand. Let's jump into another one. Let's go back here. And let's see. I'm going to share my... So here we go. Characteristics of an opinion essay. We're talking about how essays need to provide all the major reasons, and those reasons need to be understandable to the reader. So we looked at this essay by Tara. I'm not proof of the American dream. Now here's one that is causing a lot of controversy. And so we are going to be looking to see, does Spencer Bocat-Lindell, the person who wrote this opinion piece, has Spencer given us the major reasons, and are they understandable? The major reasons for his opinion. What the Joe Rogan backlash reveals about how we handle misinformation. This is a touchy subject. Is Spencer going to give us the major reasons to understand his point of view? Whether we agree or disagree, we still need, in order for it to be a solid piece, we need the major reasons. We can't be having all of these reasons that don't really matter to people. Okay, so let's jump in and have a look at this. Here we go. Essay. So I have this open here. And here we are looking at this opinion piece. And again, remember, when you skim, you can look at the first sentences. But what I liked about this article is it has, or essay, it has subheads that help you get down the page. And it will help us figure out, does it cover the major reasons? So here they're talking about, okay, when speech is, quote, dangerous. So they are setting up, Spencer here is setting up the opinion. Some of the speech at issue. So he's saying, here is what the problem is. Now let's see if we can get the opinion. Because it's talking about Spotify, and Joe Rogan was on Spotify and he said some stuff and people didn't like it. So there's this controversy. Now people are saying it's Spotify's job to censor. And in this article, in this essay, he's saying, is it a platform or is it a publisher? So we need to define. And as a reader, that is something that is a major reason, something I want to know about as I'm thinking through this issue. So now somebody said, Spotify doesn't just get to put content warnings on Rogan's episodes and treat him like they would any other podcast, because he's not any other podcast. The tech journalist Ryan Broderick writes, he's their podcast. So somebody is putting an opinion out there. But then he's saying, appealing to tech companies to curb the spread of speech deemed dangerous has proved effective in some cases. Now let's move down. With Rogan, though, Spotify has options besides canceling his podcast. They obviously don't want to be a censorship machine. So it seems like the issue here is censorship. So if we're thinking about essays providing major reasons that are understandable to the reader, we're expecting to hear, why do they think that companies should be censoring people on their podcasts? Here we have the case against calling the big tech police. We're saying, no, we shouldn't do this. Okay, so now we want some major reasons why it's wrong. Well, he's going to have to expand on that. And he does. Asking Spotify to crack down on Rogan may offend those who subscribe to the traditionally liberal view that the answer to bad speech is more speech. Joe Rogan has a right to be wrong, and I have a right to hear him and his guests be wrong if I want to. Okay, so they expand on this, and they're giving us a major reason, which I, as the reader, would like to hear. And I need to hear. It's an important reason. And I love how in this article, they've made it bold, all of these reasons. It's unsustainable. It's a superficial solution. It entrenches corporate power, like all of the things. And then you'll see the paragraph that supports it. And then, okay, so if we're not going to get big tech to censor, then who? Again, subheads, great. And it ends with, we're uncomfortable with the government doing it. We're uncomfortable with Silicon Valley doing it. But we are also uncomfortable with nobody doing it all. This is a hard place to be. Or perhaps two rocks and a hard place. And then he goes on to end. So we can see how the article goes through and it lists all of the major reasons for the opinion, and then it provides support for that. We're going to look at one more. And I would suggest going and reading the articles. See how the author puts the opinion together. How do they move from one reason to the next reason? How do they support their reasons? And then what do you think about it? Has it given you something to think about? Do you agree with them? Do you disagree more? Has it built up your first opinion, or has it changed your opinion? Here's another interesting one. What the active grandparent hypothesis can tell us about aging well. So there's this active grandparent hypothesis, which then a hypothesis is like, an educated guess or an opinion about something. So let's see if there are some reasons for this active grandparent hypothesis. And let's see if they make sense. So we're going to go to this article. And again, you can find all of these articles in the New York Times. I do not get anything for recommending that you go and read them, other than you'll be able to see, here we go, you'll be able to see how people put together opinion pieces. The New York Times is widely published, so people publishing their work on the New York Times need to be able to write well and articulate their ideas well. So it's worth having a look. The need for healthy, active grandparents who can help with child rearing may be encoded in our genes. Okay, let's see. What do they say? What are their reasons? Again, we want to skim. Why is physical activity so good for us as we age? Are they going to give us some reasons? The theory, called the active grandparent hypothesis, and detailed in a recent editorial in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, so it's giving it some credibility, suggests that in the early days of our species, hunter-gatherers who lived past their childbearing years could pitch in and provide extra sustenance and succor to their grandchildren, helping those descendants survive. So we're setting up. Notice in all of these essays, there's sort of a setup. Now, if you're doing an IELTS exam, there's no time for the setup. You've got 250 words, right? But if you're writing a longer opinion piece, you need to set the stage so that you can present your opinion. Most of us probably think we already know why we should exercise. As a reader, I connect with that. That makes sense. I'm expecting to hear something about that based on the title of the article. And let's see. But those benefits explain how exercise is good for us, not why. All right. So I'm hoping that they're going to tell us why. I'm hoping that they're going to give us some reasons. So I'm just going to skim. Recently, he began to wonder why moving seems to have such a different impact on us compared to other primates. Okay, so we're different than monkeys. How is this affecting us? Let's see. Apes rarely develop the kind of disorders tied to inactivity in humans. Okay. On the other hand, we typically outlive apes. So it's not really telling us anything that we don't know, or I'm assuming that we know. So I'm wondering, when is it going to dig in? What is it going to talk about? When is it going to give me some reasons for active grandparenting and aging well? How are those connected? So it's saying we're living longer, and here we go. In a famous 1998 paper, it proposed that women evolved to live well past menopause to help ensure that successive generations thrive. So it's building this case. This was known as the grandmother theory. And then they said, but there were some questions left unanswered. So it goes on to talk about humans had to move around to fight for food or hunt for food. In other words, exercise is good for us. So it continues to build on this idea that exercise is good, which we know, and we're going, I need something more. But now they're saying exercise is good, not just for the physical fitness, but for aging well. Crucially, the new Active Grandparents paper also delves into what it is about physical activity that makes it still so necessary for healthy aging. Okay, well, that's interesting. So when we think about providing major reasons that are understandable to me, so now if they're saying, oh, you need to exercise not just for your physical fitness, but so that you age well. It stores up energy. So here's some reasons we can get into deeper into this paragraph. Uses up energy that might otherwise be fat, and then it might lead to diabetes. Activity also sets off a cascade of effects that strengthen us. So he's giving us more reasons. Fundamentally, lack of exercise during aging explains why there's a difference between the human lifespan and the health span. All right, so there's a solid reason that as a reader, I'm going, oh, okay, interesting. The idea that we can, should, and even must stay active as we age, thanks to human evolution, is at the heart of the active grandparents hypothesis. All right. Some of its experts question some of the assumptions. So now they're going to flip on the other side. It doesn't differentiate between men and women. It suggests physical activity affects people in ways unique to humans, but it also helps increase the lifespan of other species. So maybe we're not so different. Maybe we can test it out on mice, and maybe we're going to get the same benefit in humans. Who knows? Still, there's no doubt habitual physical activity can improve health. So that's not earth-shattering. We know that. But they're arguing that not just for health, but why? And here we go. Being physically active may help ensure the span of good health matches the span of our lives. So that is the primary reason that they've been getting at through this whole article, this whole opinion piece. So sometimes, like in this article, let me stop sharing that. Sometimes, like in this article, they have one primary reason, as in the lifespan and the health span. You're trying to get those to be the same. But some of the other articles, you'll notice they had multiple reasons, like the one talking about Joe Rogan, multiple reasons for their opinion. When we're talking about the article, where did we go here? I'm not the proof of the American dream. It was, here's my life before, here's my life after, and here's why I have that opinion based on my experiences. So there's different ways that you can craft your opinion essay. So when we're looking at the characteristics of an opinion essay, we've looked at a couple in previous episodes of the Writing Wednesday tutorial. We talked about opinions being broad enough to support, but narrow enough for the length. We've talked about not just restating your opinions, but actually supporting them. And today, providing all the major reasons and making sure that they are understandable to the reader. So now it's your turn to form your opinion. Perhaps one of these topics might pique your interest. Should there be cyber police? You could write an opinion essay about that. What about this? Should abstract painters be paid millions? You could dive in deep. What do you think? What about this? Should children be required to do chores at home? All of those require an opinion. And whether you think yes, or you think no, or you think sometimes, you can write your opinion essay. And it might be that you are writing it experientially, like this, I'm not a proof of the American dream. Perhaps you're going to itemize reasons, like in this Joe Rogan backlash piece, or perhaps you're going to have one overarching reason that you're going to support with multiple examples. Whatever you decide to do, choose a topic, engage your brain, do some research, and when you're done, submit your essay for review. learn.summitvriting.net/essay-review. And perhaps on a Writing Wednesday, we can do some essay reviews. So that is all for today. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Writing Wednesday. Until next time, keep writing.